Hey guys, this video is for the chapter 1 test review and it's included in section 2.1, but it is the second video. So we are going to look at number 14 through 25, which is the back part of the worksheet that you received in class. So let's go ahead and look at number 14. For number 14, it says determine which relation is a function. So you're looking at different graphs and you have to understand the types of graph that we have. We have a relation with just points. This is called a discrete function or just points. We have a curve going down. This is mapping. It's not actual graph, but it is mapping. And then we have a table. So we want to find out which one is a function. To do this, when you guys have a graph or when you guys have points like this, we can use the vertical line test. The vertical line test, you guys draw vertical lines or imagine a vertical line that's going through the point and make sure that it only has one point on the line. So I'm checking the first point and that has one point on the line right there. But when I do the next points, notice that I have two. I'm connecting 2 points and they are on the same line. So right away, since we have more than 1 point on the vertical line, this is not a function. So I'm going to put here no, and I'm going to cross it out, not a function. The next one is a curve. So we do the same thing when we have a graph. We use the vertical line test. And no matter where you guys draw the vertical line, I'm just going to draw one right here. Notice this vertical line test or the vertical line is crossing, intersecting at different points, more than 1 point. We have 1 here, 2 here, 3, 4 different points. So that is not a function. I'm going to say no, cross that one out. Now the next one for mapping, you guys don't need a vertical line, but we need to look at the x values. It's all about the x. When you guys have mapping, you look at the x. Do not worry about the y. The x is every single number must have only one arrow going out, and that's because you're connecting a y value to that x. But you must have only one arrow going out. And notice every single number here has only one arrow. So this is a function. Yes, it is. So we found the actual relation that it is a function. But I want to show you guys the next one, the table. When you guys have a table, also look at the x values, and the x values cannot repeat. Notice here we have ones repeating. Since those numbers are repeating, the ones, that is not a function. So no, it's not. The x's cannot repeat here. When we go back to the mapping, you must have only one arrow going out from the x. Notice, it's all about the x for mapping. And if you guys have graphs, you can use the vertical line to test how many points you guys are going to intersect. And it has to be only one in order to be a function. Number 15, it says you guys want to translate. So they give you guys a sentence. We have the sum of twice a number x. And 13 is 2 less than 3 times x. So we have to look for those keywords. We have to understand what it means. First of all, I do have the word is right here. So instead of looking for the answer, I'm going to start writing the answer. And then I'm just going to look for the one that is the same as my equation. So I'm going to put here equal sign and I'm going to start writing the equation. So the word is means equal right there. When I go back to the beginning, it says the sum. So remember the sum, you must have parentheses. The sum means parentheses. I'm going to put parentheses around the sum. So I'm going to have parentheses right here. And sum means plus. So we need a plus in between. So it says the sum of twice a number x. Now they tell us what variable to use. They say x. Twice means 2 times. So you're going to multiply 2 times x. And that's going to be 2x. So I'm going to put 2x inside of the parentheses. And we have 13. It says twice the number x and 13. So you guys are going to put 13 over here. And that goes inside of the parentheses. After the word is, it says 2 less than 3 times x. Now here's a tricky part. When we read less than, we know that's going to be a minus. So I'm going to put a minus after the equal sign, but the word then means you have to switch the order. The 2 that you guys see here, or you can read it, that's going to go after the minus. So we have the number 2 and then before the minus is going to be the 3 times x. So we are going to have the 2 after the minus, and the 3 times x, which is 3x before the minus. Now when you guys look at your answers, you compare the option you have. So I know A is wrong because there's the 2 outside of the parentheses, so I'm going to cross that one out. B looks, let's go ahead and look at the actual equation, 2x plus 13. We don't have parentheses, but that's okay because there's nothing outside. So if the option doesn't have parentheses, it's totally fine, but we do have the 2x plus 13 equals, and then we have the 3x minus 2. Hey, guess what? So I'm looking at option C, and this option looks the same as my equation. Now, what is wrong with the rest ones? The rest of the options. B, well, we do have the 2x plus 13, but this order is wrong because remember the word then, you have to switch the order. So the 3x has to go first, and the 2 has to go after. So that's why this one's wrong. So cross that one out. We already know the C is the answer. But D is wrong because there's a 3 and parentheses. We're not using parentheses. Notice here, we're not using parentheses. It's a 3x minus 2. So D is wrong. C is the correct answer. Number 16. Translate the following equation into a verbal sentence. Now we do have an equation, 3x minus y equals 5 times the quantity of y plus 2x. Remember, parentheses with a plus inside the parentheses. You guys can use the word the sum. So just keep that in mind. Maybe they're using that. We do have 5 times here. And here, we also have to be careful because there's a minus. So we can use less than. We can use the difference. We can use subtraction. So there's many ways you guys can do this. I'm just going to go down the options and see which one makes more sense. So we have option F here. 3 times the difference of x and y. Now here, since it says the difference of x and y, that means we need parentheses. The difference, it is minus, but this phrase means you need parentheses. We don't have parentheses here. So F is wrong because this, I'm just going to put parentheses around this one, but not F because we don't have those parentheses with the 3x minus y. Okay? And let's go ahead and look at the next one. 3 times x less than y. Now this one kind of makes sense because less than is minus, but it says 3 times x less than y is 5 times y plus 2 times x. It kind of makes sense, but let's go ahead and look at the less than. If that's true, less than means minus, but you guys have to switch the order. So notice the 3x is before the less than, so that has to be after the minus. And I'm just going to write it down so you can see it. And then the y has to be before the minus. So we put a y right there. Nope, that's not what we have. 3x minus y is not y minus 3x. So that's wrong right there. And it says h, the sum. Right there is wrong. It's not the sum of 3x and y. So it's a minus, okay? So that's wrong right there. And let me see the last. Well, it has to be the last one, right? Because you guys have elimination method. So let's see if it makes sense. 3 times x minus y. So 3 times x minus y. That makes sense. Is 5 times. So we have the 5 times the sum. Hey, we know that the sum means we need parentheses. And we do have parentheses. The sum of what? Y and 2 times x. The y and 2x. Yes, so that is your answer. So you guys have to look for those keywords that make sense, and then you guys have to make sure that it represents the equation that is given in that question. For numbers 17 through 22, you guys have functions f of x and g of x. And we do have the functions up here, so I'm just going to zoom in to show you guys f of x and g of x. So f of x will be this function, 2x minus 4, and g of x is the function over here, which is x squared minus 4x. First of all, you have to understand what are the functions given to you. So when you guys want to evaluate, you guys want to find the value, and look at 17, we have f of 4. So that is the number you're going to substitute into the function. Your input is going to be 4, or your domain. That's another word for input. Now the function we need to use is the f. So here, f is 2x minus 4. So I'm going to use that. I'm going to bring down the function 2x minus 4, and I'm going to take the 4, the one inside the parentheses, and substitute into the x. So remember that you guys need to use parentheses when you guys substitute. So there's the parentheses, 2 times, let's bring down the 4, substitute, and then we have minus 4. You guys can use decimals, or you guys can actually use the order operation. 2 times 4 is 8, minus 4, and you guys get positive 4 as your answer. Number 18, we have g of 2. Now here we're going to use the other function, which is g of x. And my input is going to be 2. So g is over here, g of x is x squared minus 4x. So I'm going to bring that down, x squared minus 4x. And I'm going to take the number 2, which is your input, and substitute into every x in the function. So we are going to substitute here and here. We have two different x's. We have an x squared and a 4x, minus 4x. So I need to use parentheses like this. I have the squared, and then I have another parenthesis for this x, and I substitute the 2, and I substitute the 2 over here. Now again, guys, you guys can use decimals, but if you guys use order operation, 2 squared, that's 2 times 2, that's going to be 4, minus 4 times 2 will be 8, and 4 minus 8 is negative 4. Number 19 is f of negative 5. Again, we need to make sure the function that we have to use is f. So I'm going to go back and show you guys the function on this side. It is 2x minus 4. That's f of x. That is the function of f. So I'm going to write that down, 2x minus 4. And I will substitute this number, the negative 5, into the x right there. So I'm going to have the 2 parentheses minus 4. You substitute the negative 5, and you guys have to be careful with the signs when you multiply, because here we're going to multiply a positive 2 times a negative 5. That's going to be a negative 10, and you subtract 4, and negative 10 minus 4, they have the same sign, so you add the numbers and keep the sign. So we have a negative 14 as the answer. Question 20 says g of negative 3. So we have a function of g. So again, if we go back and look at the function, g of x is x squared minus 4x. So I'm going to write that down here, x squared minus 4x. I'm going to take the input, which is negative 3. That is your domain or input. And I'm going to substitute into the x. So this one, and don't forget this x as well. So we're going to use parentheses with the squared minus 4 times parentheses, and we substitute the negative 3. Now here, guys, we also have to be careful with the signs, because when you squared a negative 3, remember, if the negative is inside the parentheses and the exponent is even, your answer is going to be positive. So you multiply negative 3 times negative 3 by itself, that's going to be positive, positive 9. And over here, we also have to be careful with the signs, because we have a minus 4 times a negative 3. Negative times negative will be positive, and it's going to be 12. And then you guys add 9 plus 12, and it is going to be 21. So I'm going to put the answer on this side because I ran out of space. So 21 is your answer, 9 plus 12. 21, we are using the function of f. So going back to the function is f of x is 2x minus 4. So we're going to use that function and substitute a 0. So let me write down the function 2x minus 4. I'm going to take this number and substitute into the x. So we have 2 times and the minus 4. Substitute a 0. And when you multiply 2 times 0, that's going to be 0. Subtract the 4. And 0 minus 4 is negative 4. 22, you are also substituting a 0, but the function is different. We are using g of x. That is the function right here, g. So going back to that function, we look at g of x, and it's right here. G of x is x squared minus 4x. So I am going to substitute I'm going to write down x squared minus 4x. That's the first step. And then you substitute this number into the x and over here. So we have parentheses squared minus 4 times parentheses. substitute a 0, and a 0 over here. So when you guys square the 0, 0 times 0, that will be 0. And when you multiply negative 4 times 0, that's going to be minus 0. And 0 minus 0 is 0. So the last three questions, you guys are graphing. We have different points, A, B, and C. And for 23, point A, we have a negative 1 and a positive 3. So we want to graph this point. So your coordinate plane, I'm going to show you guys that right now, but your x coordinate is going to be the negative 1 and the y coordinate is going to be the positive 3. So when you go to the coordinate plane, notice over here, we start with the origin. So the origin is at 0, 0 here, and the negative 1 means to the left, and you guys go up, positive 3, 1, 2, 3. So that's going to be my points, and this is point A right there. Point B is 0, negative 4. So when you guys look at the x coordinate, x is 0 and the y is negative 4. So your x coordinate, your direction on the x-axis, you will not move because it's 0. So right at the origin, you guys do not go to the left, do not go to the right. You guys will stay at the origin. But the y coordinate is negative 4. So that means that from here, from the origin, you're going to go down 4 steps, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's going to be your point B on the y-axis, right there. And the last point, point C, you guys have an x-coordinate of positive 2 and a y-coordinate of negative 1. So you guys start at the origin. Positive 2 for the x means you go to the right. And then negative 1, you go down on the y direction. So we have the origin here. You go 1, 2 to the right. And negative 1 is down, so that's going to be your point C right here. Alright guys, so this concludes my video. You guys have another video for part 1, which is questions 1 through 13. This video covers 14 through 25. We do have a test for chapter 1, including section 2.1. So if you guys like my videos, you guys can click the like button. You guys can also subscribe to my channel. Make sure you guys practice, and I'll see you guys later.